Hello. Hello, warriors. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. How have you been? How have you been? The last time I was here, we were just preparing to go to the Asian Future Masterclass series, which we did beginning of this month, March 1st up to the 3rd. And yeah, that was a blast. How was your experience with the Asian Future Masterclass? Let me know if you attended. I would love to hear the integration of all those transmissions. As you're sharing, I'm just gonna share this to Facebook now. Ooh. Okay. Hello, Facebook. Thank you for joining. We are also live as the replay on YouTube and our podcast platforms. I'm really happy to reconnect with you all. I've been on a little bit of a break after the masterclass series. Yes, I had a beautiful experience. Lorraine had a beautiful experience. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing with me. Hello, Vanessa. Hello, Zanele. Hello. Thank you all for joining. Yes, so I just took a little bit of a break. Well, it's not really a break because I'm also in session in the meantime. And also yesterday, 2 days back, Holy Guardians finally started. I'm really excited for this mastermind. I'm going to be journeying with the warriors in this mastermind for the next 9 months. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a blast. But now what I'm finding is I'm napping a lot because all of those energies that were generated with the 3-day masterclass and the preparation for Holy Guardians, they're just kind of like catching up now with me. But also, honestly, since the solar portal that we had, I think on the 7th of this month, it's been quite intense energetically. I don't know if you've been feeling this, like the solar energy that's coming through affecting us, the genetic path patterns, right? So you may be finding yourself feeling more exhausted than normal, and it's because of these solar frequencies. And I know it feels like we are constantly talking about solar photonic lights and how they are increasing and how this portal has opened this portal and. But really, altogether, what we're really talking about is something that is consistently happening and will continue to happen because we are here in this moment of the quantum leap of our Earth when she is shifting her consciousness to become a higher aspect of herself. So the next couple of years, this is just how it's going to be, right? And all that's required is for us to also up our self-care, to rest more. This is like what has been coming through for me, the need to rest, the need to regulate your nervous system, take care of your nervous system, like your emotional management. And if you can, go for those massages to get, the meridian points of the body, also just like receiving extra support as well. So that's what's up. That's what has been happening with me. But otherwise, I am really happy. I'm really good. It's raining here in Botswana. So Should anything happen, it will be because of the rain. It's interesting. But lately, this rain, the rain that has been coming through has been affecting the power, which has not been something I've been aware of. But yeah, but I am here, okay? And today we are talking the journey of the soul. The journey of the soul. Yay! Who is excited? Oh, so the masterclass series for you, Palestine, has ignited something in you, and it has been interesting to see the changes. Oh, that is so beautiful. I am so happy to hear that. Wonderful. Yes, okay. So this topic of the journey of the soul, it's interesting because back in the beginning of my awakening in like 2009, 2010, I was reading a lot of literature about spirituality, any book I could find. And somehow I would find these books that, I don't even really remember how I found them. One of the books that I found back then was called The Journey of Souls. And this was by Dr. Michael Newton, right? And at the time, I was a psychology student, so I was also kind of like really interested in like the psychological ways of understanding the soul, right? So Dr. Michael Newton was actually a psychotherapist back in the 70s, I think. And one time in a session, he was just doing his sessions just like the way, like a traditional psychologist with the traditional processes, right? And he had been working with this client for a really long time. Well, not a long time, like 2 years, and there wasn't much changes. And what was interesting about this young woman, she had anxiety, right? And these anxiety attacks that would keep happening. And I remember they were particularly happening within her relationship, the intimate relationship that she was in, right? So one time, after just trying to help this client identify why she has this anxiety, because this is so key. We need to always know what is the core reason why something is happening for us to know how to heal it, to transmute it, to undo it, right? So, and anyway, Dr. Michael Newton, out of frustration, he asked this woman, please take me to the source of your anxiety. I don't know what about this question exactly on that day created this response from the woman, but the woman started to speak about a life from thousands, centuries back. She started to describe this life, and in this life, she had been, I think, accused of something. So my details are a little rough because it's been more than 10 years since I read this book, right? But yeah, so she went back to a timeline where I think she was a soldier or a warrior, and she was being hunted by these renegades. And it was all part of that timeline for something like that to happen. And they ended up finding her, the version of herself in that lifetime, and killing her with a sword that went through her heart. And what was interesting is that that's where her anxiety was always, the location of anxiety all the time, in the present moment, right? So she just started to share this time as the source of her anxiety. And the doctor was really intrigued by this. And as a scientist, he decided to go dig deeper, to ask more and more and more. And the woman kept responding with the same story, Yes, it is similar to Brian, I think Brian West's story, yes. So that's how that got activated. The idea, well, I mean, I think in ancient temples and ancient cultures, we've always known that we have lived before. And we have also always known that the lives that we have lived, the imprints of those lives, they travel with us, right? So Dr. Newton, after that, he did, I think, up to 70,000 research, or it could be 30,000, 70 or 30, it's either one of the two cases where he actually accumulated enough research in 30 years to write this book called The Journey of the Soul, to explain our journey here on earth. Right? So it was one of the foundations of me understanding the journey of the soul. Now, of course, I have a deeper and more expanded view, but that's the beginning. And this is what we need to, if we haven't, bring a deeper awareness to the idea, not only the idea, the reality that we have always existed, and that we have traveled through time on earth. And each time that we traveled through, we carry the energy of that time to the next time. And we carry those energies to the next time to continue the lessons, right? If we remember our podcast, which was talking about Earth being an initiatory school, right? So if you perceive it as a school, just like how with any school, the lessons that you received from one level, you carry them to the next level, right? So the same is true for us as souls, right? You are eternal. And I know we need to hear this 1,000 times for it to land. You know, we are eternal beings who have come to this density, this world. And when we are in this world, in this school, we have lessons that we are meant to go through. And it's like once you've come to the school, you have to complete the entire curriculum of Earth, right? And that entire curriculum is the journey of every soul. Of course, that journey will be different in the same way that we all study different things, right? But we all know that for you to get a job in a particular place, you need to have definitely done your high school training and then even your bachelor's and your master's and right? Of course, there are now jobs where you don't need that. With the new generations, they can just become YouTube stars by just training themselves without ever being taught by anyone, which is pretty cool, right? So, but generally, the way that we express, evolve, experience ourselves as souls on earth, it is through entering what we call a timeline. We enter time, right? So the time you're born was your entry into a time, a generational period, right? A time period. And when you are in that time period, there are all these energies that are particularly happening within that time period that you are here to kind of learn, transmute, alchemize. And some of them, for most of us, we don't often complete particular lesson in one lifetime. We go to the next one and we continue and we continue and we continue, right? But what we don't understand about this journey of souls that I'm talking about is how complex and highly mathematical it is, to the point that who you are today, the race, the gender, the bloodline, the lineage that you are, none of it is random. All of it has a deeper reason why you had to be that version of yourself. Right? There's a reason why I had to be this joy, this Black woman, African Motswana girl, within the lineage that I'm in, the Mkhami lineage and all the other lineages that I am part of, right? All of them, they are not just randomly things that I picked or that God assigned me at the beginning of this life. And I was like, oh, go and be a female in Africa in the 90s. And yeah, come out and tell us how it goes. I mean, sure, there's part of that, but this version of myself, this version of you, is an accumulation or culminations of decisions that have been made prior to this lifetime. And some of these decisions, you made them here on earth in other timelines that we may perceive them as both our past and our future, because we don't travel on this planet in a straight line as we may imagine. We don't actually move from 14th century to 22nd century to 30th century. We can move like 21st century, and then 4th century, and then 38th century. The journey, this is not in a 3D perspective, but the journey that the soul is on is more existing on a spiritual level than it is on a physical level. And when we are on the physical level, there's a reason why we do journey on a physical body. And it is because when we are on this physical body, we are able to focus our view of life from this perspective as the you that you are today, right? If you perceived everything happening at a multidimensional level, at a spiritual level, it may be overwhelming, actually, for you to actually have a normal human life, right? Why will it be overwhelming? So in reality, at a higher level, who are we? We are these eternal beings, spirit, divinity, divine fractals. And when we incarnate into a time, the entire essence of who we really are is as powerful as the sun, or like a ray of the sun. We are like a ray of the sun, you know. So just think of how just hot the sun feels, even though it's so far away. We know that if we were to even attempt to go so close, we will literally just burn out, right? So our soul energy, soul essence is so big that it can actually incarnate into the physical body, 100% that entire soul, right? So what we do when we are born into a timeline is we bring a certain percentage of our soul essence, right? And the further the planet, the world is from the kingdoms, the heavens, which is where we are at currently as F. We are in the third dimension, which is a very dense and very far away space to be at in terms of the entire cosmos. So bringing such light to this planet will be difficult, right? And so what we often do is we bring a percentage, and on average, even 50% of your soul essence is a lot. So on average, we're bringing, the average is like 30%, right? And so it's the version of you watching me now is 30% of your true self, of your true multidimensional self. There is an entire 70% existing beyond in the higher world that is connected to you, which is what we call the soul or the spirit, the entire soul or the entire spirit. But this 30% that is still here with you, it's enough and it's a lot, right? Such that even at that 30%, there are still some of us who are not connected to this 30%. Mostly because soul development on planet Earth has not been a collective syllabus, agenda. Your soul development is your individual mission and purpose that you, unfortunately, currently right now, you have to choose to develop your soul, to reconnect with the 30% of yourself, and then begin to move to the other higher aspects of yourself. And essentially, that is the core of your journey. The core of your journey is essentially to awaken to the truth that you are so much more than the physical body. This personality that you have is just a projection, a hologram. There is something beyond it. And that something beyond it is that soul energy which you carry with you, and you have carried with you across time on the planet, and sometimes across time, across the cosmos, right? And when we are talking about the cosmos, just a little bit of a shifting there, because most of us, when we think of the cosmos, we perceive it like from a 3D level, like, oh, the stars up there. But the stars that we see are mostly, all of them, the ones we can perceive, they're all connected to Earth. So when we talk about your journey across the cosmos, we are still really talking about your human journey. The human journey can happen in other stars, but it's still your human journey, your development as a spirit, right? So it's still the same, it just will be a different location, really. And that different location will also really be a different time. I can get too complex about it. Let's move on. Are you with me? Does that make sense? Yes, okay. Okay, great. So, so why are we here? I mean, we are here for that exploration, for that experience, for evolution. But it's important to understand the mechanics of the how and the why and the when and the what, right? And all of that is essentially around this idea that you are evolving, developing your soul, right? And in the beginning, it's a lot to do with awakening to this truth that you are a soul and really getting to know yourself as a soul being, right? And you will, the more you get to know yourself as a soul being, because your soul is the aspect of you that has been traveling through time, the more you will access more of your memories that go beyond this current life you are living. And the more you can access those memories, the more then you can understand why your mother is your mother, why your father is your father, why that person, you connect with them that way, why this problem that you've had and it's been repeating and looping in has been happening, because now you are accessing the soul memories of all the other time where your soul has existed, right? And then once we can access that memory, we're able to heal. Because the journey on earth is about transmuting these imprints from different times that you've lived, right? So in the example of the lady I spoke about who had anxiety attack, once she actually recovered that memory, her anxiety dissolved. Because often it is our inability to remember why something is repeating that it will continue to repeat. It is almost like a bell that's trying to awaken you to something that's important, right? So it's like an itch. So the anxiety becomes the itch. So you may have your own itch, like something that your soul is trying to say, hey, you need to wake up to this. It's important that you do, right? And that will appear to you as something uncomfortable or like a dis-ease, something not well with you, right? And that thing that is not well with you, it's important to know it's not just random. There isn't anything randomly happening here. There are many influences of it, of course, like that's another conversation, but most of the time we can always access and trace where a thing comes from. And that is the most important part of awakening as a soul and developing your soul, right? And so what happens is once we start to remember these memories, then there is a shift within our being where it's no longer our 3D earth personality, this Motswana girl from the Mohami lineage who is in control. It becomes, my soul becomes in control, right? It is now the one that understands what are the next steps for you, what you require for your healing. This is why I've always spoken about how healing cannot be done without spirit, because it will be through you using this mind that is so disconnected from spirit to try to fix something that you know is not just like coming from something logical, right? Like even just generally when we think about the idea of disease, there isn't anything logical about that, even though scientists can try to explain to us where a disease comes from. We can, all of us, definitely talk about how there's something magical about how, yeah, 2 years ago, there wasn't a disease in our world and now it is there. Even though, yes, it was created in a lab, it is still, however, the mechanics of how it all works, it's still not logical, because the source of who we are is that we are quantum beings. We are divine beings, we are spiritual beings. And so spirit is more involved in our lives than we realize, right? So our responsibility once we wake up is to remember, to recall more memories so that we can start to understand the patterns of our lives or the lessons of this current life. And once you remember the lessons of this current life, you will be able to transmute them through your connection and integration with your soul. And then the more you integrate the bigger soul, the other 70% we spoke about that never even came to earth, the more you integrate that in your body and you hold that in your body, the more you will be able to start to do what people will call the miraculous, right? All the great avatars that have come to earth, this is what they've been trying to teach us. This is what they've been showing us. They came here to show us the journey of the soul, that the journey of the soul is essentially to become a master. And what are we mastering? We are mastering the process of transmutation or alchemy, where we are alchemizing time in our soul and releasing the energy imprints that accumulates around an experience that we have carried from one time to another. Using spirit, we alchemize with spirit, we alchemize with the inner being, we alchemize with source God, right? And once we alchemize, we become more and more and more of our spirit self, more and more of our soul self. And when we do, we start to access. Now it's no longer just about accessing your soul memories or your ancestral memories. You now just start accessing information about the earth. Planetary missions come online and you start to access information about spirit and the future, right? Which is essentially the missing link for all of us here, because we do not know not only the past, but we also don't know the future and even the purpose of this present moment. We are always getting trapped as humanity. And what does being trapped look like? Being trapped looks like this pain that your soul has experienced, whether it's from this life or another. You can't move beyond it. And it keeps coming and repeating and repeating. And because you can't move, each time you do that, the pain is so great that you find yourself separating further and further and further from the soul and dropping into a deeper state of this density. And in some cases, in the worst cases, when we do not heal, we separate so deeply with the soul that we experience what we call soul loss, where we say a person has lost that soul, right? And in that moment, the loss is so great that this person may have to find a way to now exist. And all beings are meant to have that spark of God, that source code, that God code, which is the soul. The soul carries that God code. So if you're separated from your soul, you can access your God code. So what would you have to do? You would have to find a way to go access that God code somewhere. And then that typically is through stealing it from other people, right? Through siphoning from other people, right? And so this is where now we have what we're having right now in our planet, this dark age, which has been happening and we've been experiencing, where we have certain people who have disconnected so greatly from their soul that now they have become these parasitic beings who are just siphoning this spirit energy from humanity. And that is done through what? How do you siphon the God code? When we are in utter pain, we are actually constantly emitting energy, our soul energy, our life force, our car, right? So that life force, for other beings, they know ways to take that life force and use it for themselves. And so the way that has been happening is through suffering, human suffering. We see human suffering everywhere. And that human suffering is generating this life force, and it's being siphoned to other aspects of humanity that has lost connection with the soul. And when we have lost connection with the soul, we become desperate. It's a painful, painful place because it is total separation from God. And when we haven't completely disconnected from our soul, even as we're moving through difficult things in our lives, we still have hope because of the God source. We still love, we still have experiences that are beautiful, that remind us of who we are as spirit, right? And we feel more than anything, spirit feels. We have emotions, right? So when we get to a point where now we can disconnect from our emotions, now we become separated, right? So that is total loss. That is the greatest, worst thing that can happen in this journey. But even in that, I am not of the idea that we are ever completely lost forever. I don't believe that. But what's required is this deeper understanding of the mechanics, that essentially every single one of us, all the experiences that we have went through, that our ancestors have went through, they are right now in your bodies, because you don't have one body. There is this physical body and the subtle bodies. And this subtle bodies is where the soul is existing, because in reality, you are actually inside your soul. Because we all think that the soul is smaller, like maybe in the heart, but it's actually around you, right? So you are the one in the bubble, in the middle of your soul, and you need to start connecting back with it, right? Because your subtle bodies are beyond the physical bodies. You have the emotional bodies, the mental bodies, the etheric bodies, the catheric bodies. These all make a part of the soul, right? And so reconnecting back with this your greater body helps you to know how to alchemize or transmute this pain. In fact, it's not even about you right now really knowing the how, unless you're a healer and you want to know the how, which is what we're doing in Holy Guardians. But what matters is connecting more and more with this purity, with this innocence within you. And once you connect with that innocence within you, then you can connect with the greater innocence within you, your greater bodies, and then the most ancient body of all, which is what people call God, right? Which becomes the source of the transmutation for you, right? Are you with me? Okay. So you are asking a question, Lorraine. So what if the pain was felt by one of your ancestors and you shared, I've read that, but it's quite long, so I'm going to go to the final, but I understand it. How do you connect or help ancestors to forgive something that happened many generations ago? Great question. So, in the same way that your soul memory is in the subtle bodies, it's really, 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 really important for us to understand when we say we are our ancestors or that our ancestors are alive, is because your DNA, right here in your blood, that's where your ancestral memories are, right? And the genetic DNA masterclass series really broke that down. If you want to watch that please do. When you register for my newsletter, you have access to this masterclass series. So your ancestral memory, there isn't anything in the earth we cannot access, by the way. We can access things that happened 80 million years ago. We can even access the future, right? So the only thing stopping us from accessing something that happened in the past is that we have not yet learned to go within ourselves, to go access that memory. And what's important to understand about memory is that memory is not just a thought about that thing that happened to you. We need to understand memory holds electromagnetic charge. Memory is alive. So when you are deep in meditation and you travel into your blood and you're traveling wanting to understand the scarce that has happened in your family that is repeating a stagnation for your family, and you ask your soul to support you with traveling to that memory, or your ancestral guides, if you're working with ancestral guides, then that memory, you are going to access it. And I want us to understand, when we access memory, it's not existing in the physical. The problem is that we think it's existing in the physical. It's existing in the quantum. So when we access that memory in the quantum, it's an actual living gestalt energy. And that's why that thing that happened a long time ago is affecting people who are alive, because that thing in the past, that experience in the past is alive. Right? So if it's alive, if something from the past is alive, then it means we here in its future or the present, we can then change it, right? So we need to learn how to travel back in time, which we can do. We are time travelers, right? We don't need machines. I mean, it would be cool if you can time travel with machines, and I'm sure they do exist, but we also can travel through consciousness. Consciousness can do pretty much anything. Consciousness is the most organic machine. It's not even a machine, but like all these technologies that we feel like we need to do in the physical, we need to understand our consciousness can do every single thing even better, right? Like your consciousness can do what the computer does, your consciousness can do what the internet does, and your consciousness can do what a time machine can do. Right? So you can travel to that moment and connect with the ancestor who created that vow, that oath, and support them in their forgiveness in that moment. And when they do accept, some can refuse. This is where ancestral reparation comes from, the idea of ancestral reparation. It's not just something we're randomly doing. It's based on spiritual science, so we can travel to these ancestral memories and retrieve our ancestors who were in pain, who made the vow, and if they are willing, they can say, yes, I release this vow, and it will literally dissipate that entire memory. And when it dissipates, that memory will trickle down like this wave across the bloodline, affecting every single person who's been carrying that memory in them, that has been creating stagnancy in them, right? So This is where deep ancestral healing comes from. I say deep ancestral healing because that's what people have been asking me. What is deep ancestral healing? This is it, right? So the ancestral healing. So here's the thing why I wanted to talk about the soul today. I've noticed something with our community in Africa, with African spirituality. When we awaken, the first thing we want to do is to connect with our ancestors and to do ancestral work, right? To help our ancestral work. And while that's really, really important, most of the time, we have not even yet started to look at our own personal issues. And we want to deal with things that are ancient, that are from the past, that are about someone else. Do you see how that's diverting you from your own development? It's not like you will not greatly benefit from that healing of your ancestry. Definitely you will. It's part of why I do ancestral healing, right? But it's typically not the most urgent work. This is why you have been cleansing and you've done all the going to the river, and then you're still not seeing the change, because maybe what has been keeping you stuck, part of it was ancestral and another part of it was the soul. And the soul is more in command, right? More in command than we realize. Actually, more than your ancestors, I will say that. So if we are skipping this fundamental work and then going, because this is the problem, we're skipping things. We want to go to the next level and to the next level. And the problem with that is that, unfortunately, sacred laws, the way that it's locked in, you can't actually bypass these laws. You can't skip. And if you skip, you will literally see your life not really changing and shifting as you would desire, because that energy is still there. Your soul energy is still there, has not been shifted. So what I'm hoping to bring is a deeper awareness that you as an individual, as a soul, you carry a lot of energy also, just individually, way before we start talking about your mother and your father, way before we start talking about your grandmother and your grandfathers, right? So the work, when you are asking here, Lorraine, about what if this darkness is because of your ancestors, that may be true. But here's another thing. The soul has this magnetism. The soul is electromagnetic. It's like electricity and it's like a magnet. So it is drawn to specific experiences and specific spaces and time and lineages. In simple terms, most of the time, this is what really happens, why you probably incarnated in your ancestry. You, in your energy as a soul being, you have the same imprint and template as the bloodline you incarnated into. Meaning that for most of the time, if right now people of your bloodline, they struggle with anxiety, right? Typically, for you to incarnate in that bloodline, you already had the anxiety. That's why you actually chose that bloodline, because it will give you a greater opportunity to explore that anxiety or to explore that disease, right? This is why you are never in the wrong family. That family serves you in greater ways of your evolution as a soul, in that not only does that family give you its gift, it also gives you the trauma that will trigger in you the already existing trauma that you already had as an eternal soul that has been on earth, right? So you starting and focusing on yourself first automatically will shift your ancestry, because you are part of that bloodline, and also because the more primal energy that's with you, it's much bigger than the bloodline. I think the problem is that we get so stuck with the story of, oh, my people, this is what happened to them, and I need to heal that thing that happened to them. It's true, you do. But I invite us to consider the soul also deeply, way more than we consider the ancestors, because we skip. And this is why healing has felt like it's not happening. And one of the other reasons why I am for the idea that you must first reconnect with your soul before connecting with your ancestors. Here's why. The sun is an example of higher spiritual consciousness or higher spiritual essence, right? And we understand that the closer we get to the sun, the more we will burn out, right? So spirit or beings from higher worlds who are of source God, who are in the organic ascension timeline, whether these are ancestors or interdimensional beings or guardians or whatever these beings are, that energy is so powerful. When they are from the higher level, that energy is so powerful that in fact, if they came to us as humanity, just being so close to them can collapse us, right? Mostly because our pain body, our pain is so dense that when that too much light comes to us, it will be so difficult to interact with it. So one of the reasons why definitely it's always easier to connect with your ancestors than interdimensional beings or higher beings, angelic beings, is because the frequency, the energy of the ancestors are closer to our energy because they used to be human. And in fact, the more recent an ancestor is, the easier it is to connect with them. That's why it's easy to connect with your grandmother than it is to connect with your great-great-grandmother from 1 million years ago, right? Because spirit is about the frequency, and the higher the frequency, the more difficult it is to come here. And in fact, the more difficult it is for you to hold and interact with those beings if you are still in your pain. So why initiations has been painful for us as humanity, and in particular in our community in the African spirituality, it's because we are awakening the soul, we're awakening and reconnecting our souls to our ancestry while we have this entire pain of, just think of your life, like the pain you've went and it has never been really addressed. And we're skipping to addressing the pain of the bloodline. So that process is painful for sure. It's chaotic. And in fact, when we talk about like, how do we know we are connecting with the true organic luminous ancestral beings? If you really want to be sure that you are connected with the true beings, there's only one solution. Well, it's not the only one, but the one I believe in, which is heal yourself. The more you release the pain of your soul, the more you become lighter, because pain is dense, it's heavy. When we have pain, it's difficult to hear our soul. That's why some people say, I can't hear my soul joy, or I couldn't hear my ancestors, I didn't see them. It's because your pain is still too active and too overwhelming for you that we need to first release it. And when we do, you will become lighter and lighter, and more of your soul will come into your being. And when your soul is in your physical vessel, you have integrated the soul in your physical vessel. Then the more you can see and the more you can interact with higher beings, the more you can interact with your higher luminous ancestral guides, and the more you don't have to wonder, how do I heal? Because you have that guidance of the higher beings, where now you become a representative for your family to say, we would like to heal. I would like to heal the stagnancy in my family through me, heal through me, and it can be done through you, right? So that's the missing link. It's that we have entirely skipped this other process of healing the self. In all spiritual initiation culture, ancient cultures, this is the number one rule: know thyself. And that self, not as you, the personality, that self as a soul, as a spirit, right? And to know the self is to be honest with where I am currently right now. There's this pain and this pain and this pain, and I want to heal it inside myself first. We cannot be guardians just yet. We cannot be ambassadors for our family just yet. Like, there is a process, right? And we have to go through the cauldron of transmutation ourselves. We have to deal with our vows. This is what's interesting. You have vows and oath and contract you've made. So we can't go skip and go try to get someone else's vow cleared from the Akasha when we haven't cleared ours. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yes. Yes, Palisa. This has been like part of what has been frustrating for me, because I know I'm all about like heal yourself and heal your soul. And it's like, people are ready to go connect with goddesses and deities and their ancient ancestors and the only problem with that is that we can't properly discern. You will not know if you haven't healed. You will not know which of your ancestor is a luminous ancestor and which one of your ancestor is a divergent ancestor, meaning they're not healed themselves. So you cannot be guided by someone who is not healed, right? True organic ascension is done by higher, healed, exalted beings. Right? Just, logically, when we think about it, when we think about some of our people who have passed on, not every one of them was wise and has had accumulated enough mastery of their life to be able to come and master. Because I think what we miss is this idea that when someone transitions, they become wise. No. You earn wisdom. You have to earn wisdom. You have to develop wisdom from one lifetime to another as a soul. It doesn't come just out of the blue after you pass on. You earn it, you work hard for it, you refine your soul, you integrate your soul into your being. And this is the great news, because the work that you are doing is always traveling with you from one lifetime to another. Right. So I used to be a little frustrated because my awakening happened in what we consider a young age, right? So these teachings I'm sharing with you now, I was 18 when they came to me, and it just felt like I was crazy and alone in the world. And I'm sure there were others also who woke up at such a young age, right? And I just used to wonder, why did I have to wake up so early, right? But then it's because of the other work I've done in the other lifetimes. It just keeps adding up. You don't lose what you have developed in another lifetime. So when you wake up, whenever you wake up, it's based on the development you've been doing, right? And at the same time, you wake up when you're meant to wake up, because that's where you are in the journey of your soul. So it's not something to judge when you woke up, but it's to understand that to awaken and to keep healing and to evolve, it's something that is developmental in nature. We have to develop it. We have to work for it. Just like we work for our career here on the earth, where if you want to be the best, if you want to master whatever path you're in, you have to work for it. You have to invest in learning the skills you need for that mastery, right? And so the great avatars who have also come here, who showed us the path, all of them have always showed us that the path, the journey of the soul, it is inside you. It is always within. We must go within. The kingdom is within, right? And you can truly alchemize your life, but it's not easy beloveds. And yet it is at the same time, like, I don't want to say like it's like a long process, but just what's required is a little bit of like honesty with the self, compassion with the self, to be like, I think this is where I'm at, right? And to work on that and develop that, just like how, you know that certain things that you are good at and those that you're not good at, right? Like currently right now, I am doing research. I have to do research on plants because I'm not good at plants, like, and my friends gave me gifts of plants and I'm like, oh my God, I hope I don't kill these plants because I'm not good at them. So I had to be honest with myself, and I'm asking for support and learning and going on YouTube and developing. And I may never be as good as that person who's just always been good with plants, because they developed that skill set, that gift along their timelines, their lifetimes. Yeah. Okay, so Lorraine, you're asking, but then your journey does not move. Well, you can't say your journey does not move already. I'm responding to that before I finish your sentence. Because if you are here, your journey is moving. How do you know it's not moving? Right, okay, let me complete your thought. When I work on myself, I keep being taken back to them. I will look into working on myself. It frustrates me because I keep being taken back to them. True, I connect with my mom more because she's only 10 years late. Thank you. Yes, okay. Or as an ancestor, it's easier to connect with your mom because she recently transitioned. Yes, definitely. Right. And in the beginning of our journey, most people, they connect with that grandmother, motherly energy. It's part of why for the workshop that I'm starting next month, it's called Healing with the Divine Grandmothers. It's about ancestral healing. It's also about soul healing. It's called Healing with the Divine Grandmothers because it's easier for us to connect with that grandmother energy than other energies for most people, or that mother energy, right? Because yeah, definitely, of course, your mother will always care about how you are and they want to support you, and yeah. So your soul is so intelligent, Lorraine, that it has figured out the true path of itself on earth. And it has figured out that to actually truly complete the initiation in earth, it has to heal the entire imprint that it carries all the way. And so because of that, it will keep repeating things so that you have the opportunity to keep healing that entire energetic imprint. Right? So what is an energetic imprint? So let's take, there are many energetic imprints, but let's take one that maybe we all can connect with, right? The energetic imprint of abandonment. Another word for it is the sacred wound of abandonment. Right now in your life, if you were to literally write a list of all the times you felt abandoned, what is the likelihood that you have felt abandoned more than one time? And maybe it's 2 times, 3 times. And what if, even in your mind right now, you haven't realized that maybe that time when you were fighting with your beloved because he or she left and went to chill with his friends or her friends and didn't invite you because he just thought it's his friends, you found yourself so upset and you just like were so angry and you didn't know why that experience made you mad. Underneath that experience, what was really happening was you felt abandoned by him or her. That's why you were so mad. That's why you were so triggered. So what I'm trying to say is that an energetic imprint is big. our experiences of just that emotion of abandonment in a year probably happens maybe one time or more, just for the average human, right? We have felt many instances of being abandoned. How many of us have felt abandoned by even God? Like, God does, I pray and nothing happens, right? That's an abandonment wound. But abandonment happens within all the different relationships that you have. You have felt abandoned by your mother. You have felt abandoned by your father. You have felt abandoned by your grandparents. You have felt abandoned by your siblings. You have felt abandoned by your friends. You've felt abandoned by the different beloveds you've had in your lifetime. You may have felt abandoned by your children. You may have felt abandoned by the authorities of your life, your teachers, your mentors. You may have felt abandoned by God, like I said. Just one imprint of feeling like someone left me. And I don't like this feeling, I feel abandoned. It's so big that if you keep healing, this is why for me, I just don't understand. It breaks my heart that we feel like it should be one time, like I should just go heal the abandonment wound one time and then I'm going to be okay. But you've been abandoned so many times. Like, how can we just heal it one time? Right? So I know 100% that your journey is moving, Lorraine. If it feels like it keeps coming back, that's good. It means your soul is so committed. It keeps bringing back the lesson because it wants you to heal that imprint, whatever that imprint is, right? Whatever that core wound is, that sacred wound is, right? So it's painful for your human self to keep feeling abandoned. But there's a great opportunity every time when you're confronted with that abandonment. And what is the great opportunity is for you to reclaim the narrative, the power that you have, the story that you have, for you to recognize that your friend, your beloved going to chill with his friends and not inviting you is not abandonment. It doesn't mean this person does not like you, but there's a part of you that has called it abandonment and associated with abandonment. And we need to release that story and go deeper to why do we keep believing this, that this is abandonment, right? And begin a right relationship with the different people, different beings in our life, including right relationship with God as well. And fundamentally, I can say one of the biggest lessons for all souls is to literally heal that relationship with Source God, because if we do not heal that fundamental relationship, and most of us, we have a pretty messed up relationship with Source God because of religion, because of dogma, because of distortions in spirituality as well, right? One pattern I've noticed as souls is we come into African spirituality or the New Age spirituality. One of the things we do is we reject God. We jump into communion with our ancestors, communion with our guides, communion with interdimensional beings, and we kind of forget God in that equation. And maybe it's because of the religious trauma and we don't want to deal with that. I've been there, 100% is part of the initiation, but it's important for us to know the God wound, that divine primal wound is also very big. And it's not something you need to jump into healing right now, but it's something you need to become aware of. I cannot tell you how many times people have come to me and they're like, oh no, I am in a right relationship with God, Joy. And I'm like, are you? Really? And then after a while, they're like, ooh, I didn't know I was not. Right? So when things keep repeating, it is not a reflection that you are not moving or you are not healing. It has never been. It is literally just a lesson, like an opportunity to go deeper, to the deeper layers. There isn't one imprint. You have not been hurt only one time in your life. You've been hurt so many times, but there are layers to that energy. And each time you heal, you keep going down that layer and dissolving it, right? But the greatest and what I've seen to be the fastest way to dissolve and transmute and heal is through your soul. 100%. Your soul will always have one agenda, and it is you. Other entities, beings may have, their own understanding, perspectives, own agendas. But your soul, what else will it be concerned about except like your well-being? That's why you can never go wrong with connecting back with your soul, developing your soul, right? Building your soul, integrating your soul. The more you host your soul energy in your body, the more these patterns get dissolved faster. It's what quantum leaping or quantum collapse comes from, which is a very real thing I have seen happen, where sometimes for me, my focus doesn't become, I'm gonna heal my abandonment wound. I mean, I still do those healing, but I have come to a greater, deeper understanding that I will serve myself more if I integrate more of my soul in my being. The more I can access the wisdom of my soul, the more I can work with the divine intelligence of my soul in connection with the greater source being, the more a lot of the things that don't make sense to my human mind can be actually transmuted. Because I have tried healing alone. It's very painful. It's difficult. It feels like you are stuck in a loop. And I feel that maybe that's where you are, Lorraine, you know, that's where the frustration comes from, that maybe, you know, your perspective was to try to do it alone, not necessarily alone, but like with just your human self, right? And you probably had support in terms of healers and whatnot. But this work of healing, if it keeps repeating, your soul is the first directive to reconnect to. And this is good because you can go and ask your soul, why is this pattern repeating, right? Definitely, a healer can tell you why that pattern is repeating. They can see that if they look at your soul energy. But wouldn't it just be great if you could just easily access it yourself? Right? So being stuck in a loop is not a measure of like, we are not healing. Often it's actually a measure of that what we are healing was so big, was so ancient, that it needs a couple more rounds of clearing for it to completely dissolve. So when you see yourself in a repetition and you are honestly, genuinely doing the work and nothing is moving, it is because that thing is ancient to your soul, to your ancestry, right? So you are working with a very deeply rooted energy. So keep healing, keep clearing, keep working, keep connecting with your soul, keep connecting with higher being, keep connecting with source God, and it will move. Even if it takes you years, just keep doing it because you can. And it's just worth it either way to just keep doing it rather than giving up. Right? But it does require releasing our impatience that it has to happen immediately. Oh my God. I have been greatly humbled with that it has to happen immediately. Mostly because, like I said, I have greatly understood that you cannot manipulate or hijack sacred law. It will move because you have completely healed it. If it has not moved, it means you haven't. And that's nothing to be scared of or to be ashamed of or to get frustrated of. When you understand that often that pattern is based on the entire journey your soul has taken across the planet Earth, and sometimes across the cosmos. And that thing, that imprint of abandonment, not only do you carry just your own experiences, you carry all the ancestral experiences of abandonment as well. If you're a genetic path cutter, this will feel more highlighted for you, that you are carrying your ancestral miasma as well. So it's ancient. That's why I call you guys the sleeping ancients, because we carry ancient energy, and all the same time we have ancient magic and power and sovereignty and ability to actually heal whatever it is that we are called to heal. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I was not actually checking in on Facebook. Yes, Wendy. Are we good? Do we have any last thoughts or question? One last question, if you have, I'm open for that. I resonate so much. I felt abandoned just yesterday. I am really so sorry, Wendy. Right? So that for me, when you feel abandoned, that's an initiation. I would like you to begin to look at it as, oh, my soul is initiating me to look at another layer of this abandonment, right? Another layer that I may have never thought I carry, right? So, I mean, think about all the different people, all the different energies that you felt abandoned by. So whatever was happening, it's a layer of that abandonment wound, right? So what do we do in that instances of experiencing an initiation, and it feels like, oh my God, I have felt this so many times in my life? One, we have to honor that emotion and be present with it. Unfortunately, for most of us, we shut down. You feel abandoned, you get yourself busy and just like distracted so that you don't have to feel, because feeling is painful. But feeling is our greatest gift as souls on planet Earth, as people who carry that soul essence. That you have emotions is what separates you from those who have lost that soul essence. So do not be afraid of your emotions. I mean, I personally do not like them. They're very painful, you know, but I have learned to stay with them, to feel them. And one of the greatest way you can do that is to go into your body, like just close your eyes and just be in the body. Go where the pain is felt or held in the body and just stay with that energy and allow the stories, the images to come, the tears to come. Breathe as you're doing this, right? Keep breathing, deep breath, and just be present with that energy. And you can ask your soul, your higher self, your I am presence, your Christ self, to help you process this, to heal your heart, right? To heal your heart. So for me, I work with the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit, as if we were to look at it in the quantum, it looks like this sapphire blue light or flame, right? So what you can do is begin to send and request the Holy Spirit to go to where the pain is held. If you're feeling pain in the heart, just send that sapphire blue light into the heart and just see it dissolve in that pain. And then send the pain into the earth and just ask the Mother Earth to carry it for you, right? So you don't have to try to like release or remove the pain with your mind. You can work with spiritual tools to do that. I mean, that is a quantum tool that I just said, working with bioluminescence light, but you can also use your herbs in the home to go clear and do the invocation that I'm releasing this pain. And the only problem with cleansing is that you can't do it every day. Sometimes it's like, oh my God, it's such a long process. But if you can do it once a week, definitely do that for sure. Yeah, so we are here definitely to master ourselves. And we master ourselves through integrating the soul and understanding that the journey as our soul, as soul beings, it's ancient and it's infinite. And this is something, I mean, I'll keep repeating so that we really get it. I mean, you may need to replay this a couple of times to get what I'm saying, but what's required right now is for us to move from looking at ourselves as this small, singular beings with just no influence outside the current moment. We are greatly influenced by the past. and some of the future, but mostly the past. And that's why we have to heal the past. We have to release the past from our bodies so that we can step into the future. So does it get better? It does. Honestly, it does. The more you manage and integrate with your soul, the more it takes you less and less time to heal and less time being stuck in a pain body, right? However, if you are alive, you are still healing. For most people, once they become complete master, meaning they have totally healed everything, and they have served humanity to the highest level, because that's what will happen. Once you complete healing, you will step into your mission, planetary mission, to be in service to others and to support others, right? And when you have completely done that prophecy in alignment with what your soul has committed to, you will leave planet Earth. There will not be any reason to stay here. So if you are alive, it means you have been completed. And also, I'm not saying that if you have transitioned, it means you completed your journey on Earth. Doesn't mean that exactly. But just for us to understand that we will be healing for most of our life, because something also happens to you when you step into your planetary mission. There will be other wounds that get activated there as you're stepping into your mission, other fears you have that you didn't know, so to heal and for it to feel like it's happening and all the time, it's part of your journey on the earth as a soul being. So we can accept this and not fight that we will heal for most of our life, and that yes, it does get better. You manifest, and there will still be work done at some level, but you will be okay. And we have time. We will keep coming back and doing this, so we don't need to put pressure to be masters now. Okay, so all the best to you. I hope this supported you in your journey, and I will see you next week, Thursday, for our next episode. Good night.